An exchange between CNN host Jake Tapper and MAGA Republican Jim Jordan reveals so much about Republicans' current desperate investigation into President Joe Biden. Okay, this is awesome. I came across an old clip of a CNN host Jake Tapper just brutally crushing Jim Jordan right to his face. It's so good. Get ready. And it looks like it's once again going viral and circulating around social media. The clip is from 4 years ago, but it's super relevant to what's playing out right now in Congress, specifically in relation to Republicans' attempt to portray President Joe Biden as corrupt amid a complete lack of damning evidence. And so I want to start the segment with that, the back and forth between Jake Tapper and Jim Jordan that further emphasizes the absurdity of everything that's going on right now, then get into updates on Republicans' pointless investigation into Joe Biden, including a Republican congresswoman admitting that she doesn't have the goods because they don't exist. My wording, not hers. So quick context on the Jim Jordan moment I'm about to play. This is from 4 years ago in September of 2019, after we had found out that Trump pressured Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate Trump's political rival, Joe Biden, but before Trump was impeached over that phone call. And so during this time, all of the Republican allegations about Biden being corrupt were being spread as a way to justify what Trump did. So Jim Jordan goes on CNN and is trying to make the case to Jake Tapper that Biden was corrupt as vice president, and Jake Tapper just brutally dismantles his argument. Last thing I'll say before playing it, I also want to play this to show you and remind you of just how long Republicans have been perpetuating these talking points without being able to substantiate them. You had the initial 1023 form that Trump's DOJ looked into and concluded the allegations were without merit. Then you had the Republican-led Senate investigation, same thing. Then you have Republicans now in the House trying to recycle the same nonsense. Here it is, Jake Tapper and Jim Jordan.
He knows when he's getting paid $50,000, and then when the company that's paying him that money is under investigation, guess what? Daddy comes running to the rescue. The Vice President of the United States comes running and says,
That's not what happened, sir.
Fire that prosecutor.
Sir, that's not what happened. The European Union, the Obama administration, the International Monetary Fund, clean government activists in Ukraine thought that the prosecutor was not prosecuting corruption.
So you're saying Joe Biden didn't tell Ukraine to fire that prosecutor? I think he did.
He did,
no, but the guy bragged about it.
The guy was not prosecuting anything. That was the problem. The government of the United States and the West.
Joe Biden told him to fire the prosecutor.
You're not saying facts. You say, here are the facts.
No, here are the facts. Did Joe Biden tell him to fire the prosecutor?
Because he wasn't going after corruption. He wasn't going after corruption. Do you understand what I'm saying? He wasn't going after corruption.
Was that prosecutor looking into Burisma, the company that had hired Joe Biden's son for $50,000?
According to the Ukrainians, that investigation was dormant at the time.
Most importantly,
that investigation was dormant at the time.
Did Joe Biden's son get paid $50,000 a month in a field in an industry that he had no experience in? Those are three key facts.
If you want to push a law saying that the children of presidents and vice presidents should not be doing international business deals, I'm all for it. But you're setting a standard that is not being met right now.
I'm just telling you what happened. Joe Biden
called
up and said, fire this prosecutor or you're not getting
No, you're suggesting that Biden called for the prosecutor to be fired to protect his son. That's not what happened.
You really think the American people are like, wait a minute, so Rudy Giuliani, the president's private lawyer, had a conversation
I think that you came here and leveled a bunch of accusations and allegations about Hunter Biden.
I didn't level. I just said the facts. Did he get paid $50,000 a month?
He was paid by a foreign company. Yeah, he was paid by Burisma. But Joe Biden was trying to get a prosecutor who was not pursuing corruption fired, and it was supported.
It's amazing the gymnastics you guys will go through to defend what. Do you really think the vice president?
It's facts. And I would think somebody who's been accused of things in the last year or two would be more sensitive about throwing out wild allegations against people.
I'm not throwing out wild. I'm throwing out the facts.
The prosecutor was not pursuing corruption. That's why the entire West wanted him fired, including anti-corruption activists in Ukraine. I don't understand what you don't get about that.
I get that. I'm just talking about this specific case. that there's been reporting on. And the facts of that specific case are what he was paid per month, $50,000. Like I said, that's more than some of the folks I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District of Ohio get paid in a year. He's getting at $50,000 a month. The vice president's son, he got hired for what?
The president's daughter right now is having all sorts of copyrights granted in foreign countries. That doesn't alarm you. The president's sons are doing all sorts of business all over the world. That doesn't alarm you.
Come on.
Come on? Either there's a principle that people should not benefit from their connections, or there isn't.
I mean, just perfect job there by Jake Tapper. I know I'm 4 years late in saying that, but I didn't have a show when that originally happened, so I'm saying it now. And that's how all of these Republicans should be handled in interviews, and every politician who is obviously perpetuating nonsense talking points. And before getting to an example from this morning of yet another Republican failing to explain what evidence they have of Biden's wrongdoing, let me review some of what happened in that clip. I know for my consistent viewers, it feels like we've gone through these talking points so many times, but it's been a while, so let's do it again so everyone's up to date on the nonsense. The argument they were having in that clip you just watched is over a central part of Republicans' allegations against Joe Biden, which is that he made policy decisions as vice president to benefit his son's business ventures and was potentially bribed to do so. And the example that they'll cite as proof of this is when Biden, as vice president, pushed for the firing of the top prosecutor in Ukraine at the time, Viktor Shokin. So sometimes when their narrative on that starts falling apart, they'll fall back on, as you saw there, just saying, well, did Biden push for the firing of that prosecutor general? Which, as Jake Tapper pointed out, yes, but that's not what you're accusing Biden of on its own, because world leaders are constantly leveraging their power trying to, in this case, root out corruption in certain countries. But Republicans are claiming that Biden did that to protect his son, of course, Hunter Biden, who worked at a Ukrainian company, Burisma, and they were asserting that Shokin was investigating Burisma. But as we've gone through and as Jake Tapper said there, that's just factually false. First off, all of the West was united in saying Viktor Shokin needed to go. And the Obama administration wanted the guy gone. So Biden was just following through on U.S. policy that was in alignment with the wishes of our allies. Viktor Shokin was known to be corrupt, and multiple countries, plus people in Ukraine, were actively trying to lessen the corruption in Ukraine. So just with that information, their story sort of falls apart. And then we learn that Shokin wasn't actually investigating Burisma, and the executives at Burisma wanted Shokin to stay in power because his corruption was beneficial to them. So Biden was acting contrary to the interest of his son's company. But even though Jake Tapper was debunking that 4 years ago to the face of Jim Jordan and others to this day are just blatantly lying about the facts of what went on. Super enraging. And in part, I think because they just couldn't find any evidence of wrongdoing when it came to Biden and that event specifically, they moved on to even more wild allegations. Well, if we can't prove what we're saying, we'll just throw anything at the wall. Now they're saying he was bribed by Ukraine to get Shokin fired, even though that just makes no sense in so many ways. And you don't have proof of a bribe, but also from China and who knows where else to do who knows what else. And the latest form of evidence of Biden being bribed is a loan repayment from Biden's brother, James Biden, to Joe Biden. And bank records show that Biden indeed loaned his brother money, and then his brother paid him back with a check that was labeled a loan repayment, which you're allowed to do. Where's the scandal there, I guess, is the question. But they're saying this is proof Biden was being funneled money by his family members who were being funneled it from the bribers. Even though Biden didn't make any money from that payment because he originally loaned his brother money. So now he's just back to where he was before loaning his brother that money. It's all very incoherent and strange. With that being said, here's Lisa McClain on Maria Bartiromo's show, just clearly saying, no, we don't have evidence of policy changes Biden made because he was bribed. Take a look.
Have you been able to identify any actual policy changes that Joe Biden made as a result of getting money from China?
The short answer is no. That's what we're trying to get to right now. That's why Jamie Comer, or Chairman Comer, is requesting those documents that the FBI knew he had those classified documents for 18 months and sat on those. What were in those documents? Because what Jamie Comer has been able to do is actually take a concept and actually have forensic data to connect the dots, different than what happened, say, under the last administration, where it was just a bunch of hearsay. That's why it's critical to have Hunter Biden come in and testify, James Biden come in and testify, and to get those classified documents, because that's what we need to connect the dots, and that's what he's doing.
So obviously, it's hilarious to hear her admitting the answer is no to that very important question when her colleagues are out pretending like something different is true. But in every one of these clips, there's so much to unpack. Sometimes I'm hesitant because of that to even play them, because while the important takeaway is essential, like a gazillion other dishonest details are packed into short clips like that one. It takes a lot of time to properly dissect. But just quickly, Maria Bartiromo started by saying, do you have any policy changes that you saw that Biden made as a result, though, is the way that she worded it, of being paid by China? So the question is about policy changes, but she's pretending it's an established fact that Biden has received money from China, just real casually, as a result of being paid by China, because that happened. Just a lie, a big, humongous lie that she pulled out of you-know-where. Then they put up a graphic on screen while McClain's talking that says, here's the evidence against Biden, and it's in 3 boxes. And one of the boxes says, quote, $20 million in payments from foreign sources. Also just a lie. It's trying to make the viewers think that Biden made $20 million from foreign sources. Just not true. Where they get these often wildly inaccurate numbers is by calculating not what Joe Biden has brought in. And it's so dang tricky what they do. They take the fact that, for example, Hunter Biden did a lot of business internationally, as we know, and calculate how much he and maybe James Biden made in all of these business ventures, then pretend like that's the same as Joe Biden making it, the Biden family, they'll say, which is just not even close to proof of wrongdoing. You've proved that Hunter Biden did business internationally. Woohoo. But the way that they present the graphic makes it look like Biden has received that. And by the way, if you want to calculate how much the Trump family made from foreign sources, it's a lot more than $20 million, I can tell you for certain. We've gone through the specifics on that in the past. And as Jake Tapper said, if you want to have a separate conversation about legal reforms that would outlaw the family members of elected leaders from doing any international business or of certain types or any business at all, we can have a separate discussion about that. But first of all, be consistent. Apply it to all people in power. And second of all, that doesn't justify, if that's your stance, lying about Joe Biden. Then on the same graphic that was put up on screen, it says another example of evidence is, quote unquote, Hunter Biden's messages and infamous DC dinner, which is shockingly proof of zero wrongdoing on the part of Joe Biden. And then finally, quote unquote, whistleblower testimony. You remember that testimony that centered around a belief that David Weiss didn't have the authority to properly prosecute Hunter Biden, something that has imploded both because of Weiss himself saying that's not true. And he's now charged Hunter Biden for having a gun when he was addicted to drugs. And he's expected to bring charges against Hunter Biden also in California related to tax stuff. Just to be clear, nothing related to Joe Biden once again. So that's not evidence either. So we watched less than a minute of that clip, and it took that long to go through just some of the ways that it was dishonest. By the way, another super interesting revelation on the Biden probe. Take a look at this.
Just into us, Hunter Biden has agreed to testify before the Republican-led House Oversight Committee on December 13th. That's according to a letter sent to the panel this morning. The news comes after the committee issued a subpoena to Hunter Biden in early November, summoning the president's son to appear as part of an escalation of the Republicans' impeachment inquiry into President Biden. At the same time, 2 sources tell NBC News this morning the president's brother, James Biden, also has been in communication with the House committee after it asked him to appear for an interview with the panel on December 6th. Oversight Committee Chair, Republican James Comer of Kentucky, issued the subpoenas, which focus on the Biden family's business dealings.
So Hunter Biden is willing to publicly testify in front of the committee. Here's some quotes from that letter sent to James Comer by Hunter Biden's lawyer. Quote, "We have seen you use closed-door sessions to manipulate, even distort facts and misinform the public. True. We therefore propose opening the door, calling the bluff. Your empty investigation has gone on too long, wasting too many better used resources. It should come to an end. Consequently, Mr. Biden will appear at such a public hearing on the date you notice, December 13th, or any date in December that we can arrange. And I love it. Show there's nothing to hide. Hunter Biden's willing to testify publicly, call Republicans on their bluff, and then you get all that information out publicly. And it is important that it's public because, as Hunter Biden's lawyer pointed out, Republicans have a long history of manipulating private testimony and dishonestly framing it in the media. So good idea there. There it is, the summary. I guess in short would be Republicans keep trying, but keep failing. Before you go, don't forget to make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's so beneficial to the work that's being done on this channel. Plus, follow me on Threads at Luke Beasley Official, Instagram at Luke Beasley Official, X at Luke P. Beasley, and sign up for the Beasley Brief, a daily morning newsletter that summarizes the previous day's events by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/brief and become a member. What the heck, a member? lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That gets you the daily bonus show Monday through Friday. It's just a great time. You want to be a part of the bonus show. It's wonderful. lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and I'll talk to you all next time.